Hey, what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again with another episode of Coach D Media. Now, you know I do with Coach D Media. I talk about all things combat sports related, from the highs to the lows. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it. So you haven't heard from me for a while, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I do more than just podcasting. So I do media. I go to different events. I'm always traveling. So right now I'm focusing on the sport of mixed martial arts, where I do international competition from the youth all the way up to amateurs, and then they can compete around the world. And I've been doing a lot of that because I want to promote the sport of mixed martial arts. Now, I started in sports entertainment, which means all the controversy that comes from the UFC and all the kind of good stuff. That was, that got my name out there. I was running my mouth talking that noise, and I was like, okay, I'm seeing great fights, but am I overwhelmed by it? Like, ooh, I gotta talk about this fight, talk about that fight. To me, they're getting a lot of mundane. I'm like, all right, so we'll see. So I was like, okay, what do I want to talk about now? Do I really want to go in on this, Bryce Mitchell situation? I said, all right, yeah, I should. So, and the reason why is because I deal on both sides now. I deal on the sports entertainment side of mixed martial arts, and now I deal on the sports side of mixed martial arts, because they're not the same. They're not the same. Okay. Sports entertainment side of mixed martial arts is all the stuff we're seeing now with these crazy, press conferences, all these guys doing crazy stuff, starting from Conor McGregor. Now you got Shawn Michaels. Now we got the new guy on the scene, Bryce Mitchell. He's running his mouth saying crazy stuff, and it's all about the sports entertainment, right? Who's actually taking this stuff serious? If you're taking it serious, you've lost your mind, right? There is nothing but the same stuff. Are we even surprised he said this stuff? Are we even, what are we expecting this guy to do, right? He wants to make more money in mixed martial arts. He wants to get his name out there. He wants to push the needle. So he did so. He got a podcast, went live, and said some heinous, stupid stuff, right? That we now talking about right now, me included, right? So I was like, okay, do I even care about what he said, right? So I'll do my rounds. I listen to other podcasters, talk about how they see it. What do they see? What does it matter? Does it really mean anything? But of course, the guy that I like to rock with is Ariel Helwani. He summed it all up, right? The guy did what he did because that's the sport we're in, right? Dana White went out there and go, hey, he said Bryce said some stupid stuff. I don't condone it. I don't believe in it. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have said it. It's stupid. But he has the right to say it because it's all free speech. And, Dana's, for the most part, is right. He did it on his own podcast. He didn't do it at a UFC press conference. He didn't do it on nobody else's platform but his own. So can he say it? Yeah. Should he say it? Probably not. But it's condoned in the UFC, right? If you want to make a name for yourself, you got to run your mouth. Start with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was going at it. Khabib, Nate Diaz, you name it, he's done it. He said some crazy off-the-wall stuff. On top of that, his personal life is just as crazy. All these allegations, all the stuff he's did, right? Still here today, one of the highest paid athletes in the UFC, in combat sports, right? So can you really blame, Shawn Strickland for doing the same thing? How he's talking about women, all that kind of good stuff, and the, trans, gays, you name it. He said it all, right? Can you blame him? He's getting ready to fight for the title again, right? Not canceled, none of that. He has it on his shirt. Cancel me. Nope. He's going for the title. Can you blame him, right, for saying the stuff he's saying? He gets rewarded for saying the foolishness. Now we have the latest guy, Bryce Mitchell, right? Went on his own podcast, said some foolish stuff. Now he has a fight coming up. Dana White even said it. He says, hey, I don't condone the guy, but the great thing about this, somebody gets to punch him in the face, right? His opponent don't care about no Bryce Mitchell other than to fight him, right? You got the A side, you got the B side. We're going to say who's the A side, we're going to say who's the B side, right? Probably Bryce is the A side, right? Because he's the one getting all the attention. He's selling the card. He's selling the fight. He's probably the A side, right? So what are we doing? It's the same old, right? Nothing new. Nothing new under the sun, right? But I'm talking about this because mixed martial arts is still a sport. It really is. We may not see it that way because we got so much foolishness, but it is a sport, right? I work with the development of youth MMA, in the United States, right? Where we're developing the next generation of athletes, right? And they compete locally and internationally. And I deal with the amateur side who compete locally and internationally. Well, most likely on the gamblers internationally, right? But now mixed martial arts is going to be in the Olympics, right? Where we're going to have athletes trained to compete in the Olympics. They're not going to have to compete in just the UFC or One Championship or PFL. They can actually compete in the Olympics down the line, right? But you think the Olympics going to have this kind of nonsense go on where you can say what you want to say and bring, bring a tarnish on the name of mixed martial arts and you're going to head to the Olympics? No, right? So this nonsense is not going to be allowed in the other aspect of the sport, which is the sports side of it, not sports entertainment. Just fine. Just fine. Because you can't do it in other sports, right? And most of the other sports are in the Olympics, right? So once mixed martial arts gets into the Olympics, we're going to see what's going to be allowed and not be allowed, right? Once that happens. So I'm curious to see what happens down the line. You're not going to be able to say these things when you're on an international stage and other people are sponsoring it. It's one thing if you're in the UFC, right? The UFC has their own funding. They don't have but a handful of sponsors. And the ones that they sponsor are okay with the nonsense, right? But you don't got no clean cut sponsors. You don't got no wholesome sponsors. You don't got sponsors with decent names and decent, image, right? They're not sponsoring a UFC with all this garbage. No. You see what I'm saying? Right? We got Budweiser who got, so-and-so on a can. You know what I'm saying? So Air Hawani said it best, man. It's just the crap we're in right now. We're in this nonsense era of where this stuff has a place. He has his place in what he did. And it sells in this sport. Because now Dana White says, hey, now somebody gets to knock him out. Dana turned a negative into a positive for the UFC. Right? And he has to please his shareholders. He can't not say anything. He gotta say something. Right? He did his part. Read off a script like Air Hawaii said, and went on to selling the sport. Bam. His job done. Right? That's all. He don't have to take it. He'll have to do no more than that. Right? As long as you're buying pay-per-view and you're selling tickets. See what I'm saying? But there's another side of the sport, which is what I've been doing. That's why you haven't seen me. I have another podcast called Fight Camp Media where I promote the sport of mixed martial arts. That's what I've been doing. So you've been wondering where I've been at. I've been doing that. But this ties into what I'm doing. There's a sports side and there's a sports entertainment side. They're going to be colliding in the years to come. So we see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's getting interesting. Because I listened to some of his podcasts. It's same old nonsense. It's nothing but rhetoric, right? He's allowed to say it. He still has a job. He may be fined $100K if I read that right, but why? You didn't find, Shawn, and you didn't find Conor. Why are you going to find, Bryce, right? Because he offended his Dana White's bosses. That could be it, according to Air Hawani, right? If you hurt the boss's feelings, then yeah, you have to pay a price. You have to pay a price. It is what it is, Fights fans. I'm curious to see where this goes. Because, but like I said, what else is new? What else is new? Right? This is a norm. This is the same old, same old. So this is Coach D doing what I'm doing, calling it like I see it. To hear from me again, peace out.